So yes, I didn't do so well at school. Then high school, when my brother started high school, my family had a bit more of an investment in him for his future. When my brother started high school, they got him the latest gear, especially when it came to year 13, what we used to call the fifth form year. And that was a really important year. So when it was my turn, I waited to get my new gear. That's what my brother got. He got new bags, new books, new everything. So I thought, well, when I get to that year, obviously it's going to happen to me too. No. Nothing came my way. And when I got ready to go to school, my dad looked at me and said, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to school. Year 13, this is supposed to be really important. My dad said, no, you're not. You're painting the fence. So I went outside, I painted the fence. Once I finished painting the fence, I thought, well, obviously I'm going to go back to school now. No, my dad turned up with a whole lot of brown paint. Now you start on the house. And then the high school phoned up. I was inside having lunch, having my own lunch break. No one else was home, just me. I was inside having my own lunch break in the school phone. And they said to me, this is Kaipara College. That was the college I went to. We just phoned it to see if Tipene, as they called me in those days, Tipene is still attending college. I was like, I don't know. I said, I have to ask my dad when he comes home. So my dad comes home, I said, am I still going to school? They phoned. My dad said, well, you better go to school tomorrow. It was one good thing about me staying home, because I stayed home for a few weeks painting the house. This was year 13, is I learned to pronounce my last name properly. And it was a lady from Telecom that taught me how to say my name properly. Telecom, now called Spark, phoned up. They wanted to talk about the bill or something to do with the phone. And the lady said on the phone, can I please speak to Mr. or Mrs. Tipene? She said, I thought, she's saying our name wrong. I'll correct her. So I said, no, that's not how you say our name. Our name is pronounced Tipene. The phone went really quiet. And then she said, excuse me? I said, our last name, it's pronounced Tipene. And she said, oh, no, boy. Oh, no. I'm on the phone like, what? She said, that's not how you say your name. Your name is pronounced Tipene. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking maybe Spark has a new service. Teaches you how to say your name properly. She goes, your last name is Tipene. And then from there she says, now you say it back to me. I'm like, what? She says, come on, you pronounce your name back to me. Tipene. She made me say it back to her like 7 times. Tipene. And then she goes, now that's how you pronounce your name properly, boy. Now you never forget that. You be proud of that name. It's a good name to have. And that was it. So from then on, I knew how to pronounce our family name properly. Now when I went to school, finally for my year 13, I found out that I was in the top teacher's class for maths. Now this teacher, he was like a rock star. He would walk around the school. He would wear a scarf. Look at over his shoulder, and he would prance into school like this. And all the kids loved him. They would call out his name, and they'd see him in the schoolyard. They'd go, "Oh, sir!" They'd be like, he was like a rock star. Everybody loved him. Apparently, he was some guru of maths. And I ended up in his maths class. So I thought, yeah, my worst subject. I got the best teacher. I'm going to learn maths. Finally, I'm going to learn maths. So I go to his classroom. I go to the back of the class. That's where I always went, back of the class. Safest place to be, So I sat at the back of the class, looked around at all the other students. This teacher, he walks in, looks around the class. When he walks in, he gets a hero's welcome. Hey, sir! Hey, sir! Starts chit-chatting with some of the kids. They're talking about something they did in the week. Then he looks around the room, and he sees me sitting at the back. And he pauses. He says, And then he comes over and he looks at the roll. Looks at me again. Then he starts talking about what we're going to be doing this period for the maths. And he gets the pen and he starts writing up on the whiteboard all this stuff. Man, I have no idea what he was doing. I'm looking at all this stuff going up on the board. There's letters mixed with numbers. And not just normal stuff, it's going everywhere. Up, down, across, down again, up again, across again. I'm looking up thinking, what is this about? And then he says, right, turn to so-and-so page in your workbook and get started. Now, a few kids put up their hands. So I was thinking to myself, oh, I'm not the only one that doesn't understand. So I put up my hand. He looked at me. He went to one of the other kids. So this went on for ages until I was the only child left, the only kid left with his hand up. So he walks to the back of the classroom. He walks up to me, stands over my desk. Yes. I look at him. I look at my work. I look at him again. He says, what don't you understand? All of it. He starts trying to explain it to me. I don't know what he's saying. It's like some foreign language. He keeps explaining it to me. He looks at me and just sees a blank face looking back at him. Then he says, I don't know how you got in my classroom. You shouldn't be in my class. He said, when you're in my class, you sit at the back of the room. Do whatever you like. I don't care. But do not interrupt my lesson. And then he turned around and walked away. So as he's walking away, I'm thinking to myself, all the other kids are watching this, by the way. So I feel my face burning red. And as he walks away, I'm thinking to myself, well, so I'm not going to be good at maths then. From there, the next week, I turn up to his class. He goes, you're not in my class anymore. Go see the office. They'll tell you where you need to be. And I ended up in this little room with a maths teacher and some other children. Other kids, other students that were behind in their maths. And this lady, she would take us through these worksheets. And so she sat me down and she helped me through this worksheet. I had no idea what it was. Man, I was so delayed, I had no idea. But, I tried, I gave it a go. Now, as the weeks went on, less students came to that little room. In the end, it ended up just me and the teacher, nobody else. And then the teacher didn't even come. She left the worksheet there on the desk with a note saying, fill this in as best you can, Tim. So I sat down, I looked at the worksheet, and I asked God for the answers. I said, God, what's the answer to number 1? And the first number that popped in my head, I wrote it down. Sounds good to me. God, number 2. Okay. Now I can tell you that does not work. So do not try it. When I came back the next time, my paper was covered in red pen and it was all wrong. And the teacher said, try harder. So I tried harder, but God wasn't listening. God was off doing something else. Because he just, I don't think my maths was that important in the scheme of the universe. So, yeah. But I kept trying. But in the end, there was no worksheets. I turned up, my old one was still there. The teacher had forgotten about me. The school had forgotten about me. But as far as they were concerned, I was supposed to be in that little room at that time. So I just sat there. Got out my book, one of my books, turned to the back, and I wrote. And I wrote stories. And I wrote love letters and poems for the girls I liked. However, because of all the stuff going on in my home, my poems ended dark all the time. They always ended really negative. Like I would start and I'd be talking about the girl I liked and saying how beautiful she was. I'd talk about her eyes and her smile. But by the end of the poem, I was like, life sucks. And I'd find the girl and I'd give her the poem. Hey, check this out. I wrote you this poem. So she would start reading the poem and she'd be like, oh, it's so nice. Oh, it's so wonderful. And then she'd get to the bottom. Okay. And she'd just look at me like, I don't think so. You've got issues. I'm like, you ain't got issues. So that room became my magic room now. I wrote and I wrote in that room. It became my most favourite place in the whole school. when it was that period, I just rushed to that class. I would get in there and I'd rip into my book and I would just write and write and write. My hand got so sore. I'd write all these stories. I didn't care about spelling. I didn't care about mistakes, nothing. I just had these stories in my head and I wanted to get them out. And it was my favourite place to be. It was a special place. One day my mate comes up to me. One of my mates at high school. He had a falling out with some kid. And he was going to fight this kid. Well, no, he wasn't. He wanted me to fight him for him. He wanted me to fight him for him. Because I did martial arts, you see. I started from a very young age. And so he wanted me to fight this kid for him. So he had it all set up. He knew where the kid was going to be. The kid was older. The boy was older. He was a year, year 7th form. So what's that, year 15? Year 15. So last year of high school is what he was. So my mate was going to fight him. So it ended up my mate came face to face with him in the hallway. And then on cue, I come down the other end of the hall. And there's double doors there. And I push the doors open. Boom! And I'm walking in like this. Oi! Don't you pick on my mate! Thinking I'm tough as anything. The boy sees me. He takes off. That wasn't part of the plan. So I go after him. And my mate, right, he's trying to fight him. My mate was still standing there with another 2 mates of his own. So this boy was all on his own. So we followed the boy out. The boy goes into what they used to call the 7th form common room. This was just a room for the 7th formers, the last kids, for their last year. So he goes in there and he stays in there and he won't come out. I'm standing outside on the courtyard. Come on, man! What's wrong with you? Come on! Bring it on! Come on! I'm gonna do you! And I can hear the kids in the room saying to him, what's wrong with you, man? Are you chicken or something? Get up here and fight him. And they're yelling at me, waste him, bro, waste him. Waste that kid when he comes out, beat him up. The bell rings. The bell rings. My mate leaves me. He goes to class with his mates. I'm still there yelling. And then after a while I realise I'm the only one outside of the classroom. And when I look around, there's teachers and kids at their classroom windows watching. So I start feeling, I'm not very tough at all, am I? Looking pretty stupid about now. So I go to my classroom, my little room all on my own. And I sit there in my little room all on my own, my magic room with my writing. But I don't want to write today. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about that boy. And I start remembering the voices of the other kids inside, wanting me to hurt him, wanting me to beat him up. And then I think about my mate wanting me to beat him up, and I think to myself, what's this boy done wrong to me? He's not done anything wrong to me. I know what it feels like not to be liked. These kids don't like this boy. And as I'm sitting there, I start realizing, who am I really angry at? And I realize, I'm angry at my dad. I'm angry at my mum. Because they're beating me up all the time at home. This boy's got nothing to do with that. So the bell rang at the end of school, and I went looking for that boy, and he knew I was looking for him, so he ran away. But I found his girlfriend. And I said to her, can you say sorry to him? I said, I was wrong. Can you tell him that I'm sorry? And then I'm angry at my mum and my dad, and I'm not angry at him. Just tell him I'm sorry. So she did. And from then on, I had a new friend. And for years afterwards, even I would be walking through Helensville, that's where Piper College is, and I'd be walking through Helensville, and there'd be a toot of a horn, and I'd turn around, and there's a guy going past in the car. Hey, Tim! As he went past, I had a new friend. I didn't feel like I deserved it, though. But, I took responsibility. My high school kicked me out in the end. When I got kicked out of high school, I was 16 years old, and I was so delayed that I could not tell you the time on analog clocks, the clocks with hands. I did not know my times tables, and I could not say the alphabet from A to Z. I was clever though. I was writing and all sorts of things. But in the school sense, I was not doing so well. But look at me now. I'm standing in front of talking to all of you guys. I got kicked out of school. That's pretty cool.